welcome back. Raman here again with another episode of the Stardom Show. We have a very special guest with us today, Geetha Ramamurthy. She is the founding charter member of TIE in Boston. She has lived in the US for the last maybe 35 years or so. And today I met her in Bangalore because she has also started her business in Bangalore for the last 2 years?
I would say yes.
2 years.
Yeah.
We'll learn about her story, her perspective, her journey, and her insights as well. And I'll be asking some really interesting questions and pick her brain and ask her a few pieces of advice for our viewers here. So let's start with Geetha. What path brought you here? Let's start with your current situation, and then we'll go back.
Okay. So, being a former founding executive director of the Boston chapter of TIE, we were the second chapter to start, and we learned a lot from the Silicon Valley chapter. And as you know, today TIE is the largest network of Indian successful entrepreneurs in the world. And I was there with them for about 11 years, and we did initiate a lot of good programs in Boston itself. And I used to mentor, advise, and guide entrepreneurs, connect them to other successful entrepreneurs, and that's what I was doing in TIE. And that kind of inspired me to become an entrepreneur myself. So, so I came here and I saw the opportunities in India, and so I became an entrepreneur. That's
and
the journey.
You also started your business in the US as well, right? Before
yes.
you did.
Yes.
So
before
you brought your business from
US
to
India. Here.
And you have business there in the US as well.
As well.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
both sides of the planet.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So, what's your message to the world today?
Specifically to India, India has the largest, youngest population in the world. When I say youngest, it is between 24 and 30-year-olds.
Correct.
And the rest of the world is kind of aging. Europe has already aged. US is on its way there. And in the next 2 decades, or next 20 years, the entire world is going to look to India for human resources.
That's a good insight.
Human resources. And on this side of the market, our youngsters are very smart, and they're educated, well educated, but they lack the skills that is required to compete in the global markets. So that is something that they need to develop, and it's not difficult. They can develop that, and also learn to interact with mature, successful people, so that they can get the wisdom and then learn these skills, and that will definitely help them have that cutting edge skills and talent and strengths to compete in the global market.
Awesome.
That is the message to the Indian
Absolutely.
diaspora.
I totally agree, because I call this this people in India as the rising billion. We were discussing about that. So people are coming into the economy with the smartphones today.
Yes.
Not unlike we did 20 years ago with the dial-up modem. So I totally resonate with what you said.
Yeah.
And Geetha, what are you known for professionally? What do you have a knack for?
I have a knack for identifying the gaps in people, in their skills and talents, and kind of helping them develop that or strengthen those skills. And I do that in a very, very simple way. I just talk to them, give them some activities, and they learn. And then through my experience and stories, that has become a big trademark, for me. And people love it. And then I also have this ability to connect with them, and they stay connected for a very, very long time with us. And so that is something that we do. And our tagline in our company says that transforming people for their success. And so that's what we do very well.
Awesome. So that's the one big problem. So what would you say, like if I ask you, what's the one problem that you're good at solving for people?
The very fundamental gap that I see is in India is lack of confidence.
Lack of confidence. Okay.
In people, especially youngsters.
Right.
And that lack of confidence comes with lack of effective communication skills.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to articulate their thoughts and communicate that across the table to people. And so first we work on building that confidence level, because I think it also has partly to do with our culture or our upbringing. You know, when we are youngsters, we are always told by our parents, don't do this, don't do that. What will they think if you say this? And you never question your teachers. Don't talk, don't do that, don't. We are so used to that. But in the US culture is go do it and fail. Yeah. And if somebody is walking at the ledge, you'll say, okay, fall and learn. All you're going to do is break your bones, right? So, I mean, that's a little bit extreme, but there the children are taught from the age where they can talk to express themselves, articulate their thoughts, question, which is very, very strong capability that they have. They are encouraged to question. Here we never question. Guruna question ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು, you should not question your teachers. That is inculcated in our culture, and I think that has to be changed. So that is something that we work on, and we say it's okay to talk, it's okay to question, it's okay to be wrong.
Sure.
And you'll never know, you may be great, you may be right. So come out and speak up. And I meet with even MBA students and executive MBA students. In Christ University, we did a couple of workshops. These are people who have been in the workforce for several years. And they don't speak up in the class.
Those guys are shy.
They don't speak up in the class. And first thing we say is, you need to come out and express whatever it is.
Right.
Even if it is wrong, it's okay. But have that confidence to say something, And companies in the US, especially in Boston, where I come from, the entrepreneurs there who are Thai members, they invite me and they meet with me, and then they say, we have our offices in India. Can you, go do something to our employees in India? And first thing they want them to do is to communicate in meetings.
The call.
Simple. Communicate in the meetings. Participate in the meetings. Can you do that? And we have done that. I can name a couple of companies, Reflexes, Actifio. These are Boston-based companies, and they're very successful companies in their own right. And the CEOs, I know them very well, and they said, can you do something? So I've come here and I've done quite a bit of corporate training for their employees. It's worked out very well. So that is the first thing we do. And rest of it is all skills.
Right.
They learn that pretty quickly.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe in psychology, I've been studying psychology and influence for my entire lifetime, so to say. There's one thing called the confidence-competence loop.
Right.
You increase the confidence, the competence goes up.
Yeah.
The other side also, the corollary is also true. The competence, when it goes up, the confidence rises too. But I think with your experience and insight, we should add a third component to this, which is communication. So by increasing communication, competence and confidence, both can rise, perhaps.
Right. Yeah. And we see, English is a complex language.
Absolutely.
It's not like Indian languages. It's complex. You need to know the exact words to use, the exact way to say it. I'll give you one example. An entrepreneur, in his presentation, he had mentioned, about his product, right? We are cheap. He meant that we are inexpensive, low cost, but value is high. And I told him, don't put that we are cheap, because people will think you are really cheap. Instead of that, you just say we are cost effective or we are competitive in price. See the difference? And so that competitive in pricing tells the world that he can compete with any pricing in the world and still be effective, still have a very good product out there, rather than saying cheap. Cheap is something that will fall apart. That's a perception, right?
Correct.
So that ability to use the language, the right words, is very important for managers, entrepreneurs, even employees, staff. So that's what we focus on. and we tell them, and they really transform. They have the idea, but they just don't know how to put it forward.
Absolutely.
So
most times people need that nudge,
Yeah.
someone experienced and
Yeah.
an expert to say that,
Yeah.
okay, this is the right track, go ahead.
Yeah, and 99% of the time they need someone to say, you're okay,
Yeah.
do it,
Do it.
do it the way you want, and that is what we do.
Amazing.
Yeah.
In your decades of experience, and after setting up the Thai chapter in Boston and staying with them for more than a decade, what would you say the 3 things that you learned in your duration stay in Thai? What would be your 3 big lessons that you picked up?
Yeah, the 3 things are very, very fundamental. I had mentors like, even today I have them. I have mentors like Deshpande and people like that. I've also spoken to Narayan Murthy and all that. And as you become more and more successful, these successful entrepreneurs become very humble. And very humble, and
so good to know that.
Yeah, and they become so humble. They are very humble as they rise in the success barometer, and that's one thing I learned, to be humble and to be very simple. And Desh taught me one thing one day when I was in the executive director in Boston. He said, Geetha, you need to develop a little more thick skin, So, that meant a lot to me. And so, I mean, what he meant by that is you take in the comments and whatever, feedback, whether it is positive or negative, and just learn from it, and move on, and be successful that way, and apply that, things like that. So I've learned so much from that, and one is being very humble. Second is you have a very simple message, whatever it is. Even we do the same thing in the classes also. We make it very simple to understand and learn, and then they this thing, and then of course perseverance and passion. Yeah, follow your passion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So there seems to be a common thread between all successful people: perseverance, passion, and humility.
Yeah.
That's the primarily. That's what I have seen so many people. Like Branson, for example, Richard Branson. We see him. He actually plays like he's so playful. And when people see him presenting on stage or doing his thing, he's running 200, 300 companies, but he's doing like that. It's play to him.
Yeah.
Like a child, like plays around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably that will all come when you go up and up the ladder. Today, unlike like people used to say, it's not lonely at the top. There are so many people. At the top
out
as
there.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
All people sharing their own expertise. And people, do you think people are more proactive in sharing their experiences and helping other people than earlier today?
Oh, of course. Like in US, the culture there for amongst entrepreneurs is, how can I help? Where can I help? That's the 2 questions that we always ask when somebody approaches us. And here, that culture is still developing. It's coming up. And what we are trying to do here is, why do you think the Silicon Valley, Boston, Atlanta, these are the very leading entrepreneur hubs in the world? It's because they have the ecosystem that supports that one entrepreneur to go to the next level. And be it Microsoft, be it Cascade Communications that Desh had, that was his first success, right? And so all these companies, the ecosystem come together and support them. Right. What is an ecosystem? It's the universities, and it's the other entrepreneurs who support them, investors, and mentors. Startups, mentors, and also now this place to work, incubators. Yeah, they are coming up. Incubators, accelerators, co-working spaces. That is the ecosystem that comes together and work. In Bangalore, that what I see is the ecosystem is there, but they work in silos. They are not cohesive, and they are not working together. And we are trying to change that. And we want to bring all these. I've been talking to a lot of incubators, a lot of investors, and through our programs, we are bringing a lot of mentors to support the entrepreneurs. And the ecosystem has to come together. And if I cannot help them, we have to connect them to somebody else who will help them.
Right.
So that is how the ecosystem functions. And hopefully, it will become stronger soon.
Very nice. You put it in a very neat and capsule kind of a thing,
Yeah.
which is what's happening there and what's happening here.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. So my next question would be to ask you, professionally, in your what excites you most in your work and contribution,
Yeah.
day in and day out? What motivates you?
I was thinking all these years that just transform and help other people to go to their next level, whatever that is fine. So I was thinking in kind of a small numbers. If I can help 10 people, great, fantastic. I've got my job done, right? But somebody I met recently, he is Swaminathan, Vishnu Swaminathan. He's the head of Ashoka India.
Okay.
And I just met him in Bangalore, and he came and he gave a keynote address in one of our events. He talked about the Ashoka Fellows, who go and have a greater impact in the society. We are talking society, not even communities, societies.
Okay.
How impactful they are and how they impact large numbers of people. And that has inspired me. And now I'm saying not 10 people, I want to impact as many people in the world as possible. So through our training programs and all that. And I think that's where I'm headed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Geetha, what are you excited or passionate about personally? Like what is it, something that you do on a weekend, or perhaps something that you enjoy doing when if you get any free time?
Yeah, I love horse riding. So I want to join a club here and continue that. I love that, and something about animals. I just love it. So love that. That is my personal interest. And of course, I want to be a healthy person, not depend on anybody else. So I'm into a lot of yoga, exercise, and all that, and also the mind. Anything that helps the mind and soul to be healthy, mind, body, and soul to be healthy. So I do that, and then I love traveling. So I love to travel and visit a lot of. India, I have not seen the architecture. India has so much to offer in terms of architecture.
A big deal of your time in
the US,
right?
Yeah. And here, when we come, everything is 1,000 years old.
Oh.
In the US, everything is less than 1,000 years old. So I would like to travel and see the country first, and then maybe the rest of the world. Love to travel, and so that's my personal passion.
Okay. Because you're also working with college students, and nowadays even schools are inviting you to share your perspectives with them. So what would be your 3 pieces of advice for a student, let's say, someone who is just completing or going to complete his or her graduation and looking at the entrepreneurial world that is staring them in their faces today, all over the world. It's not just in India, all over the world, entrepreneurialism is something that's catching on. So what would be your 3 pieces of advice to someone who wants to become an entrepreneur?
Today, being an entrepreneur is not easy. Because the investors are always looking for what is the kind of impact, what is the market size that is there. So first, identify a problem around you, because we have problems all around us. Identify that problem and come up with a solution and focus and try to talk to several people, validate that, and then start something. Just because you have an idea and you start something, that doesn't work. Second is, don't be afraid to fail. Success is not everything. Don't be afraid to fail. And sometimes you have a very quick success, and then afterwards you fail, and that should not let you down. And you just have to be first focused, and also be prepared to change the course of your business or your idea, because market is changing every day today. And the needs are changing. So be receptive to that, and be ready to change your course. That will definitely make you successful.
Amazing. So what would be the first thing after becoming an entrepreneur? Like after deciding to become an entrepreneur, what do you think is the first thing that people have to pay attention to?
First is talk about their idea, their problem, and their solution to at least 5 or 10 people.
Okay.
Get some good mentors and people in that particular segment. You know, what have they done, what have they not done,
Right.
and otherwise you'll be repeating yourself sometimes.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So better to figure out what is there in the market, what is happening, and then come up with some of the right solutions and come up with the right direction to follow.
Right.
And because the problems are around us every
Oh,
day.
right. Yeah, everywhere.
And do something that way. And it's important to validate, not just get started, because there are lots of entrepreneurs who start with their ideas alone, and then they don't go very far. So it's very important. And there are mentors. There are organizations like NASCOM, TIE. These organizations have mentors, and we also provide a lot of mentors. And it's always good to
So is
talk.
it easy to find mentors? Like,
It's
would
easy.
mentors
It's-
be willing to spend some time with these startups?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, today
that's
in
very nice to hear,
yeah,
actually.
today there are people, and you have to get the right connections.
Correct.
Somebody has to connect you with the mentor. Sometimes you can go find your own mentor,
Right.
and it's always good because they've been there, they've done it, and they have the wisdom to share with you. And sometimes they take you to a certain point and say, "I cannot go further than this,"
But maybe
and they
they
will
can connect to
connect
someone
you
else,
to
yeah.
somebody else. So every successful person in this world today, around the world, always has 2 or 3 mentors at any given time.
I remember the book 6 Degrees of Separation.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
connect to anybody on practically
Yeah.
anyone on the planet.
Planet.
There are only 6 people away. Like
Yeah.
someone can connect you to someone else, like that.
Yeah.
Within 6 levels, you can connect to
Yeah.
everybody on this planet.
Yeah,
Just-
and one other point I would like to make for the entrepreneurs is entrepreneurs become loners because they are so focused on their product, their service, whatever it is, and then they don't have time to socialize and all that.
Right, yeah.
They need to know that they are not alone in the world. There is so much so many people in the ecosystem who can help them. So leverage that and be successful that way.
In
Learn
that
from-
way, startup co-working spaces and
Yeah.
incubators, they are doing a very good job in
Yeah.
putting people together,
Yeah.
helping them, grow together,
Yeah.
help each other and grow
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
and possibly also give them that validation of someone else. Like I share an idea with someone, and someone says it's a good idea, and
Yeah.
connects you with somebody else that
Yeah.
they perhaps know.
Yeah.
So in a way, working alone as an entrepreneur, like that was the thing that decades ago people used to
Yeah.
do, but today
Yeah.
it's working together.
Yeah, yeah. I'll give you one example in
Yeah.
our own co-working space.
Okay.
This is an incubator in Rajajinagar. And we have people anywhere between 1 employee to 3 employees, and they come from different aspects,
Right.
like marketing, software, web development, etc. So in the beginning, we never introduced anybody to anybody. So they would all come and work and all that. And the first month, we had a networking event where we brought everybody, we had a cup of tea, and everybody introduced themselves and all that. Since then, they have found clients amongst themselves. They are helping each other, they are supporting each other. So that kind of network is very important. And socializing is very important, and we call it as
And
networking.
especially at the very beginning stages.
Yeah.
Like finding the first customer is
Yeah.
groundbreaking. at that
Groundbreaking,
time,
yeah. So there has to be somebody to say, hey, you are not alone. Do it. We are there to help you, and that's very important.
True.
Yeah.
Geetha, let's talk about your because you have spent more than 3 decades in business, as an entrepreneur. So, what are the awards and rewards and medallions, perhaps, or recognitions, perhaps?
Yeah.
Because you inspire a lot of people. So, do you want to share some of those things that that you can recall from your
Okay.
journey so far?
I have a small story to tell from the high school itself. So in the high school, I was not very interested in math. So I used to always sit in the back of the class. Usually I sit in the front, but I used to sit in the back of the class, not pay attention. So the math teacher would always identify me and ask me questions, and I would not be prepared to answer because I was not paying attention. Right? So math is something like, okay, I'll take the exam and test and pass it. whatever the requirement is. And she would ask me to come and sit in the front of the class just to make sure that I pay attention and all that. So I carried on like that. And when I graduated in high school, SSLC they called it at that time. So I was a topper in the class, even in math. So you know, sometimes these kind of happenings in the classroom does inspire you, and I always has been the one who take anything, especially the negative things somebody says about me, as a challenge, and convert that into a positive. So then they recognized me in the school. Then I joined Mount Carmel College, and there what happened was they had introduced a government exam, public exam in the 7th or the 8th grade. So we skipped a grade. And so we went directly into the 9th grade or something. That was the education there. So we all ended up, people who were in the PUC degree program, it was 1 year at that time. We were all younger than the rest of the students who came in a natural way. And so, as you know, I'm very, very small and very young. So one day I was sitting in the class, zoology class in the second row. And Miss Genevieve, she is Mount Carmel College, she was one of the nuns, and she asked a question in zoology, and I answered, and she said, can you please stand up and so I can recognize you? I said, I am standing up. So I became the most popular student in the class, so that kind of worked. And then from PUC onwards, I went on to my bachelor degree. And so there also I was the most popular girl in the class and always the topper in the class. So that was a recognition. And I was the first one to get married in the second year because there was a bridegroom available. So they said you can. Then the first question I asked my father was also educated in the US. He did his PhD from Purdue, Indiana and Stanford. So I told him, is it possible for me to continue my education in the US? Because that was the most interesting thing that I had in my mind and goal. And he said, yeah, you can go as a transfer student. So luckily we were in Boston. So it's a university town, as you know. So then I went and met with the principal of Northeastern University, and so he took me in as a transfer student. And so I graduated. My first experience in the class was I took physical chemistry, the first class, which is a very tough subject, and I could not understand the accent of the teacher. And so I failed the class at the end. I could not do very well. Then I said I have to repeat it again. So I went to the professor. It was the same guy. I went to the professor and I said, I just cannot understand your accent in the class. So can you help me? So he said, if you come to my place where I work, I will help you, mentor you and tutor you so that you can understand, because it's one-on-one kind of coaching, you can understand. So I took the class, and next thing is I got an A in the course. So nothing is impossible. That taught me nothing is impossible. And so these were some of the things, and I graduated again on the dean's list from Northeastern University. Then I joined TIE, and because we initiated a lot of interesting and new programs in Boston, one of them is still popular now. It's called TYE, TIE Young Entrepreneurs. We take high school students and teach them how to take an idea and develop that into a business plan. And this we started this in 2005 because my son Shyam Ramamurthy was a high schooler, and he came to me and he said, Mom, we need to know how to become entrepreneurs, and can you start something in TIE? So I started it in Boston, and we were getting awards from the global organization every year as a very unique and a successful program. Then in 2008 I went to Houston to receive an award for our TYE program, and the chairman Purv Bagri and Desh, they caught me when I was coming down the dais, and they said, you are very selfish, you are only doing this in Boston, and can you roll this out globally? So we said, if you support me, I'll do that. And so now it's a global program. I still chair it as a chairperson. And so that was a huge accomplishment for Boston. So these, I can go on and on. So, it's been very nice. People are nice to me and they're recognizing, which is nice.
And any other volunteer activities in India that you are involved in?
Volunteer activities is our own community organization.
Okay.
My mother started that. We are a community named after Padmasali, it's called, and we are a weaver community. You must have seen people having handloom wheels, handloom machines in the homes, and they weave saris, silk saris and all that. That's the community that we come from. And it is still a developing community even today. And my mother was the first female president for the women's group in that community. And she did a lot of work there, and a lot has been written about her and her accomplishments in her life. And so they have invited me to conduct some training for the women and also children. And so that is something that I'm doing at a community level. But other than that, I'm very much involved in Thai. In Bangalore.
Okay.
I used to be involved in Boston. Now I'm in Bangalore. And I also on the committee of the Entrepreneur program. It's an entrepreneur program here in Bangalore.
I see.
And so I mentor and teach and guide them on how to pitch. That's my specialty.
Okay.
See, the thing is, you may have a great idea and a great plan, but if you don't know how to present,
absolutely,
you lose it. You lose it. Many ideas have been dumped in the waste paper basket because you have not been able to present it properly. And so that's what I teach people. How do you present and how do you prepare that PPT effectively and all that. So that's what I do. And several of the people that I have mentored, have gone on to win the competition. So that's my sense of joy,
Okay.
Yeah. And we have another program in our own company called Winner's Circle. Winner's Circle. And it's comprised of members who are experts in various business aspects. And so when startup entrepreneurs, when they are starting their business, basically they are looking for funding and fundamentally growth. Correct. Or funding. So we invite them to pitch to our group and we advise them and mentor them and prepare them for funding.
I see.
And we have seen about 13 entrepreneurs so far, and 3 of them got funded. One of them is going directly for VC funding, and this guy is in Cochin, an entrepreneur in Cochin. He was a finalist in Thai Entrepreneur program last year, and he's going for funding. And there are other 3 entrepreneurs who are they're negotiating for funding. Yeah, so that's the kind of impact we make and help entrepreneurs.
So if some of the viewers who may want to start their entrepreneurial journey and wants to connect with you, how do they do that? How do they find out more about you?
Well, you are there. You can website. They can come to the website. They can contact me directly.
So we can flash the website URL here at this point?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
And I can also send you share with you my contact information. You can always publish that.
Right.
And they can contact me 24/7.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very available, very approachable.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Geetha Ramamurthy, for sharing your insights, your journey, and your perspectives, and also your pieces of advice on how to get started. So that's the beginning. So I would advise, if any viewers want to get in touch with Geetha or use their incubation or make use of the mentors and their team, get in touch with her by going to their website and contacting them through their website perhaps. Maybe we can also share your phone number somewhere.
Sure,
here,
absolutely.
So people can give a call if they are local, and if they are international, they will obviously get in touch with you by email or through your website. So thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you.
In Bangalore with Geetha Ramamurthy in India.